Welcome back to Inner Earth School. We're really happy that you tuned in again. I'm, of course, as always, joined by my beautiful co-host, Adam.
Greetings, Earthlings. Good to be back.
Indeed, Earthlings. Today, we are starting a little four-part series, and we really want to share some of the most influential and impactful literature and teachings that we have come across during our journey of personal development and self-discovery. And to start off this series, we want to talk about a fantastic book called Conversations with God, written by Neale Walsch. I know you, Adam, had some great insights from it. For me, the book is still a revelation. But before we get into it, I must ask, Adam, how are you today?
I'm feeling great. Thank you, brother. It's good to be back again. I'm excited for this continuing journey and excited for today's topics. There's some really juicy stuff in here in terms of our history together. But yeah, I'm feeling good, full of energy. The coffee has been drunk, ready to go. And how are you, brother?
Nice. I had matcha tea this morning, and yeah, good, thank you.
Sorry, not asking.
I had a matcha tea this morning. I've become a bit of a fan.
Yeah, I'm a big
No,
fan
no,
of
don't
matcha.
you worry. You shall be forgiven this time. Yeah, it's good, and it doesn't give me the jitters that coffee does.
Nice. So you're feeling calm and energized.
Yes, I do. Although I must feel I maybe it was a bit much matcha. So I'm very alert. Right, let's get into it. Adam, conversation with God. How did you discover it? I think that's a great question.
Oh, that is a great question because you know damn well how I discovered it, Roman. Yeah, you introduced me to it, brother. Um,
I don't want to
you
hear it.
you introduced me to this amazing series of books, but I didn't. I went against you, and I got the Audible audio series instead. Um, I was really into audiobooks back then. I think this was 2019, wasn't it? 2020. Got the audiobook and fell in love with it immediately. Just, I think, first of all, we talk about conversations with God, and most people might switch a lot of people off just because of the connotation that God has for them. So I'd like to frame this particular book and piece of literature is very much not about the God you think it's going to be about the religious God. In fact, it's very much against that kind of religious version of God. Um, and and so I think at the time I was looking to reframe my understanding or belief around God. And this book came about, and it was so beautiful on audio because you got Neale Donald Walsch, the narrator, and the author, who this book had come through in a divine way, and it talked about his conversation that he ended up having with God, and over the series of these three books that came to him in that were sort of several years apart. Um, and on the audio book, when God speaks, God is spoken in, first of all, the voice of a male actor who has this really deep, booming, grandfather kind of like tone to him, quite authoritative but soothing and powerful, and then God also comes and speaks in the voice of a beautiful female actor who sounds very much like the mother, the grandmother, really soft, soothing, firm, but fair and loving. And so it's the combination of these two voices that flow in and out of the audiobook that make it so engaging. And I think I listened to it sort of three times the first year that you introduced me to it. And it's a long old book, on audio. It's over, I think it's probably close to like 20 hours or something like that. Um, so yeah, really, really hit the spot for me.
26.
26 hours, is it? Yeah. Yeah, so it's long, right? Um, and it just truth, when you read something and you watch something, that when it lands for you, it feels so truthful. Um, and that really was the start of a big opening for me and some deep reflection on a lot of the big topics that we're going to cover moving forward on the podcast. How about you, bro? How's your what what's how's it influenced and framed your your belief around the world and reality?
Thanks for asking. I was given the title during a plant medicine retreat in Costa Rica,
Mhm.
and immediately I fell in love. Well, I say immediately, but in reality, reading the first few pages, I was like, "Ah, God, here we go again. Oh, God, here we go again."
Excuse the pun.
Um, and I think for any, excuse the pun, um, but I like every time I recommend it to someone, I recommend it with a caveat: just get past the idea you have of God and the the societal definition of it. Because once you get past the first few pages, and also the maybe a bit out the idea of Neale Donald Walsch sitting down, writing a letter, and then hearing God talk to him. It's all a bit out there, but once you get past this bit, it is the most beautiful story written, because, as you said, it it reveals so much about our humanity and what it means to be human. So, to answer your question, one of the big takeaways, of course, I always talk about it. It is, you first have to know who you are not before you can understand who you truly are. It's one of the, maybe for both of us, the key passages in the book. And yeah, for real, like in a whole, this book gives me hope of having a human experience as a spiritual being. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, very much so, brother. And that I think that phrase from the book that you said has stuck with both of us, and I think it's such a beautiful thing to remember. You can only know who you are by knowing who you're not. It really helps you to reframe your belief around, or your thoughts and beliefs around failures and what that represents, and actually just failures and the different paths we go down as just opportunities to learn, opportunities, another opportunity to learn a way that hasn't worked for you. And it's only from going down all of these paths and figuring out what hasn't worked for you that you start to build this framework of who you actually are. And so it's this underpinning lesson, I think, from that book that's informed certainly a lot of the work that I've done around Inner Earth, the company that have created that you're now a part of, this channel, Inner Earth School, helping people to navigate their inner world. And of course, the Pathfinder program that we've created to help people transition through difficult life moments. And a book that I wrote, The Journey to the Center of Your Soul, back in sort of 2021. There's another part of that book that really spoke to me, was about how, again, getting to know yourself on a deep level, looking at how if you were in a vacuum, you wouldn't know who you were. You only know who you are in relation to everything outside of yourself. So your relationship to the environment that you're living in, your relationship to your family members, your friends, your loving relationships, and then ultimately to yourself. And it's these mirrors that life is constantly holding up to us, gives us an opportunity to understand who we are based on how we relate to that, how we think about ourselves in relation to that thing or person or situation. So I think those have been the most important core lessons for me that have really informed the work of Inner Earth and the Pathfinder program that we'll talk a bit more about in the future, for sure. And I'm so grateful that
Mm.
you introduced it to me, mate. That
Yeah,
book.
pleasure. I mean, what else is it for, right? If you find something of value, then you want to share it with your dearest people.
For sure.
I remember a moment when it really clicked for me. My son was still very young, maybe 1 year old, so it must have been 2020. We went for a walk, and I don't really remember what happened, but something happened that really kicked my nervous system out of balance. And I just turned around and had almost a panic attack during the walk and said, I need to go home. I need to fix this right now. And I can't wait. So I just left my wife and our son and walked back home, completely stressed. And then once the situation was resolved, I remembered again, oh, that there was no need to freak out. Right? Why did I just have this reaction? I could have easily continued on the walk, take a breath, calm down and continued and then sort it out. But then reading again, this passage, remembering, it's not about learning new lessons. It's not about figuring out something new. It is really remember, like becoming a member again in this experience. And these are the
big lesson,
mind-blowing moments for me.
For sure, brother. I think that's so beautiful. Remembering, reinstalling yourself back into this reality and being a conscious player of the game. And I think before we leave today, the best, going back to the term God, for me the best explanation of what God is, I heard through another sort of channeled work of a guy called Paul Selig, and he channels his guides, and they talk about God being the energetic source that informs all manifestation. And so for me, that's the framework that I like to look of God, not the one of the religious texts that think about him as a man in the sky, but more of like an energetic source that flows through everything in this reality that everything's contained in. So I just like to drop that out there just at the end. Small topic to talk about, but
I will draw this out a bit longer now, because I think that's really interesting, because God has become such a laden word, or loaded word rather. And it's just a word, but we attach it with stigmas around church and religious and institution and unfortunately a lot of suffering. So I understand when people rally against the church, but to really understand what God is and who is God within you as an individual, right? What is the divinity within each of us?
Sure.
That's a concept that deserves a far longer, of a deeper space, but it's an important one.
For sure.
Because are we not all the universe experiencing itself?
Yeah, for sure, brother. And like you said, I think that's a topic that we should return to another day. So why don't you play us out and tell our wonderful audience where they can find us?
I will. Yeah, beautiful. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. There will be a few more frameworks coming onto this channel. You will find all the information in the show notes, but visit our website, innerearth.co.uk, where you find all the information. We would really love if you click the subscribe button, click the like button. It helps us. It helps the channel to get a bit bigger, and hopefully we can share our news with the world. So thank you again. Any last words, Adam?
Thanks for listening. We appreciate you being here, and look forward to joining us on our continued journey. We've got some great episodes to come on these topics of frameworks and modalities of personal development that have helped us. So we look forward to sharing those with you, and have a wonderful day. See you later, Earthlings.